Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Alma Talks podcast with host Ashley Leilani. I don't know why I sound this time, but anyways, here we have guest Paloma Yglesias, who is a visionary tattoo artist, a New Earth medicine woman, a folk herbalist, and a women's circle facilitator. There is so much wisdom and medicine that she carries within, and I'm super excited to have her here on the podcast. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. It's such a pleasure and an honor to be invited at your podcast.
Yeah, whoop, whoop. It's party. Hey. Well, let's just get into it, right? So, how did you start on your spiritual journey and your relationship with spirituality?
Wow, we're diving in deep real quick. All right. My wow, I can say like my spiritual journey started, I think, as an initiation since I was a child. Um, I come from a lineage, let's put it that way. I mean, we all do, of course, but I was coming from my grandmother. Like my grandmother was a spiritual advisor, very huge spiritualist in Puerto Rico, and she used to do like bath cleanses and clean the houses and do a lot of other stuff that I quite don't remember. But I was very, very immersed in the culture and in the spaces like that because she used to be with me most of the time while my parents were working. So that was my entertainment, just to be with her and see her doing her thing.
Yeah, that's
So
amazing.
yeah, so it started from there, but it's really interesting because as I started growing up and becoming a teenager and, becoming an adult, that space kind of fade away. Like it got separated from me. My grandmother, started having Alzheimer's and stuff like that. And there was a huge disconnect between my mother wanting to be interested in any sort of like things like that. She would be, not say like afraid of it, but she had such deep respect that she rather not even dive into it. So when I was a teenager and stuff, like the disconnect started happening. I started seeing it more like, oh, this is like stuff that maybe is not fully real. And my grandmother is something from the old school, right? Like the old school mentality, like they grew up through culture that maybe is not accurate. So I dissipate from that reality and started living the teenage life, as we say, partying and doing not so great things and stuff. And yeah, I think I rekindle. I mean, I don't think I know that I rekindle back into spiritualism when I had very intense awakenings through life, especially living in the States. Yeah, very intimate things that happened to me and that really put me down to my knees and surrender into going back into this path, into this faith of how can I heal myself without prescription pills and without being depressed or suicidal thoughts or stuff like that. So yeah, things like that. I feel like living in the States really, I say sometimes like it just bursts that bubble of the like island life and give you a lot of reality checks of how it tests you, like it tests you, right? It like puts you into the test. Are you gonna make the right decisions for you? And they're so tempting to get to the other decisions that are not good for you. And yeah, I experienced those things and it led me to really listening to my intuition again and looking for different directions that is not like what the mainstream media wants you to go about, right? And not bashing those no judgings or bashing like those other decisions, but I felt like they weren't working for me, and I needed to find the solution to these traumatic events and finding the healing within myself to really, you know, rise out of those ashes, I guess, and be happy again. So, yeah.
Yeah. Like it's so weird too because not only is it a reality check, but it's also like a cultural change. Like in Puerto Rico, usually you live like down the street or in the same street as your family. Like you guys see each other all the time. Your friends are like also in the same block. Like you don't really go far.
No. And no, and you grew up with the same people. Like I hear so many stories, from friends that grew up in the States, right? And they have like 3,000 kids and a school. And I'm like, I only have 70. And, I knew these people since kindergarten all the way till, high school. You knew your neighbors, you knew your cousins, you know everything about them, and they all know about you, right? So it's like, it's definitely the small island is, a very immersed community, and just coming to the States is just a very different, very intense and different, yeah, environment.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I wanted to ask you too, like, do you remember any of the practices that your grandmother would do when you were younger?
Oh my God, yeah. I remember people coming into the house. The garage was created into a huge temple altar.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was filled with so many saints. There was a huge table all around, of saints, black saints, white saints, you name them. There's some of them that I vividly remember, and I don't know who they are. Um, I'm pretty sure if I see them, I will recognize them, but I have no connection to them because I don't know their history or anything. But I do vividly remember her having so many, and like turning on tobacco to the saints, blowing to them, putting them into their hands. And I remember people coming, like clients to come and ask for advice, ask for cleansing. She would create these huge gallons, like the plastic gallons of water, and she would create these like herb cleansing baths in the stove of our kitchen. And she would be like, "Don't touch, no toques," like for you not to touch anything because it wasn't for us. And then I remember too, like having the clients coming into her bathroom and to her bathtub and doing the cleanses. It's like really wild.
Wow.
So it was mostly like bath cleanses that I remember vividly her remember doing. That was like the main thing. And she had definitely a deep connection to the spiritual world, very deep connection. Very clairvoyant. And she was pretty known in the area for that. So yeah. And my mom was like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. You
Yeah, it's such a big responsibility when you carry
Mhm.
that much of a powerful gift or those many gifts. It does come with responsibility, and those gifts are meant to help you support your community and your family and yourself. So that's
Mhm.
also another thing that comes with it, the respect or the fear, or whatever you want to call it, of seeing that.
Mhm.
It's kind of like they really want the responsibility of people outside of just my family. Um, but it's also cute in a way because here you are doing herbalism, folk herbalism. So can you share a little bit more about that part of your journey?
Yeah, wow. It's been a very couple years now that I've been immersed myself in learning more about plants, because plants have been a huge tool or catalyst ally to my healing. Personally, I've done plenty different journeys with plants, and I feel like not I feel, I know that they were a huge part of my healing and a huge part of who I am now. And I have such deep reverence and respect for them, from the most simple ones to the most, you know, complicated ones, that you have to like have them with like someone who's like have a wide knowledge with them and has said them for years, or they're like what's it called, transcendental through the family, right? Like, and yeah, like I have such a deep connection and respect for them that I started thinking, wow, if this plant has shown me and told me such truth and rawness of myself, and show me the way of how can I like heal myself, right? Because they're not healing you, they're just showing you how to find the healing within yourself, right? To find that power within yourself to like surpass the pains, the illnesses, the aches, the sorrows, right? And it put me into perspective. Wow, like even the simplest plant that is on the earth that you might be walking next to it has a potential to show you, to heal you, or to support you in your healing journey. So I started to get immersed in learning more about them, about and connecting with them, having experiences with them. So I have no certifications or anything like that, but I've been really fully immersed in learning from them. And I don't create anything that I haven't taken myself and experienced or connected with it, myself. So it's been a beautiful, beautiful journey, from like seeing them, how they grow, what they want from you, and how much potential, right? And how much you give to them is what they give you back. Like some of the herbs that I grown, it's like they've been so beautiful to experience, because I know that it's been like a symbiotic energy of exchange of energy between both of us. And I'm looking forward to share that with others, so.
Yeah, and with herbalism too, it's not like, I mean, there are courses out there or whatever, but
Oh yeah.
ultimately you have to connect with the plant for it to be able to provide the medicine. And with your grandmother also having that amazing power and that connection with plants and doing cleanses with herbs and plants and flowers and stuff, that's already in your DNA. So the plant world is kind of like, oh, we recognize the DNA.
Oh yeah, they do recognize you.
Yeah.
They do. They see you from who you really are, right? I love that so much. All the masks fall down when you have a connection with the plants, and when you are in unity with those plants. It's just such a beautiful transformation to see, within myself or within others too. So
Yeah, it's powerful. And I mean, the plants do what they are meant to do for you too. Everybody's going to have a slightly or a pretty big different experience depending on what is it that you need, how is it that the chemicals or the makeup of the plant works with your specific body. Because I love what you said, it's not the plant that heals you, it helps show you what's within. It works with what you have.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's another thing that is like so important that a lot of people don't get. It's just like surrendering and trusting in it, right? We live in a world where we like are constantly looking for the solution, for someone to give us the solution, right? We have a headache, we want to drink a pill, solution, right? Someone to make the solution, instead of like, okay, why am I having these situations, right? What am I doing? It's like not taking yourself accountable into like, that you are part of that solution. You can find within yourself how to solve that issue. And like plants are always like, all right, if you let me, I'll show you, right? If you let me, I'll support you. And I hear so many times, as well, like, you know, that people take certain plants and they're like, this doesn't work, right? I was like, well, why do you think it doesn't work, right? What's the difference between this and your Tylenol? They're made out of plants too,
Or
right?
you
Like,
try it for like a day and then you're expecting for the plant to heal you in one
oh
day.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely too. Right. Like that's what we used to do for thousands of years, for generationals, our grandmothers, our ancestors. They used to have a beautiful relationship with the plant world and a connection to Mother Nature. And that's how they used to figure it out. Right. And we had lost that connection throughout the years. And it's time to like go back into those roots and connect again, because they have so much wisdom to show us and so much knowledge to share with us that they're like waiting. They're like, come on, you know? So
Yeah, it's like medication has provided some benefits to be able to help with the, I guess, longevity of life. But at the same time, like, what did we do to survive before medication was mass produced, before
yeah,
penicillin came out? You know, like we were using plants, we were working with the plants, just like how you said. So,
yeah, absolutely. And you're so correct on that too. Like you know, pharmaceuticals or the medical industry has done wonders. I mean, you know, like you said, it has prolonged the longevity of life, and you know, we have to give them credit as well. But there's a thin line between utilizing when it's necessary versus abusing at all costs, right? We're like really dependent on it, really, really dependent, and it just, I feel that it's lowering our intuitive instincts, our intuition. It's just like disconnecting us from our bodies and from ourselves, instead of like listening to what we really need. And we're just always outsourcing to someone else that you think that they know more than you. And I feel like no one knows you more than yourself. I feel like, yes, there are moments that are, that, you know, that are really needed for those situations, right? But there's other moments that are really like, you can find these answers within yourself of why these things are occurring. So
yeah, because if you're overdoing it at that point, you're low-key telling your body, shut up. I don't want to hear you
mhm,
scream and whine, when your body's like, hey, you keep
mhm.
having a headache. You need to
Yeah. Maybe I need water. Like
Yeah,
maybe you need water, right? Like
literally.
an
Oh my God.
example, of course, but
I mean, we all need more water,
yeah.
but yeah, the medicine world is beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, and you know, don't get me wrong, I was one of those. I was like, I need this right now, like, you know, immerse in all the medical stuff, you know, and it's okay. There's always, it happens, right? Um, but when I started noticing how much abuse and addictions I was starting to get with, because it's like, that's another thing, right? It gets really addictive, and it becomes an abuse to these pills or prescription drugs or stuff like that, that it start masking whatever you're trying to, you know, you don't want to face, right? Like, and I feel like there's always, I mean, my personal experience was that was the solution, that I needed to face what I was trying to avoid, and I was avoiding it at all costs, which involved getting entertained with like medical drugs and stuff. And yeah, I was getting to that space of like not fun. So yeah.
Yeah, and the addiction to it, like sometimes when we say the word addiction, it just feels so charged and so heavy, but like it can be as simple as you just have a bunch of Tylenol, and then whenever you don't feel too well, you just pop one in. Like people look at me weird when they're like, oh, you have a headache, oh, you have a cramp, do you want some Tylenol, ibuprofen? I'm like, no. They're like, why would you
Yeah.
choose to go through the pain? And I'm like, why would I want to mask it? I don't really get it often. So when I do, I know my body's being like, yo, you need like extra rest today. And I mean,
Hmm.
I'm also blessed, you know, like there are some people that definitely
Oh
need
yeah.
medication, but at the same time, if you have a lot of pain, there's something that you need to figure out that's going on in your body medically, because it's not normal to feel a lot of pain. Um,
Hmm.
and also, when I said medicine's beautiful, I meant plant medicine's beautiful. I didn't mean pharmaceutical medicine. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we gotta be careful nowadays because it gets it gets distorted.
Yeah, I'm like, just putting that
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
Um,
We're just emphasizing all around. And it's you know, what I'm emphasizing more is to like really listen to what you really need, right? It, that's the main thing. It's just really listen to what you need. And if you need those other things, then that's fine. But you're being sovereign over your body, right? It's not like you're choosing blindly into what you're taking or, you know, stuff like that. So.
yes. And I wanted to ask you too, like, what are some of your favorite, like, plant mixtures or herbal mixtures that you've used on yourself for anything? It doesn't have to be something serious. It can be something cute and fancy as well.
Oh yeah. I love reishi, one of my favorites. It's a mushroom. Um, it just calms my nervous system a lot. I drink it in the morning. I used to, which is very interesting. I used to drink it with coffee, which is like doesn't make any sense because I'm like I'm hyper for coffee, but then I wanted to be calmed down. But now I don't consume that much coffee anymore. Just drink it with my tea. And yeah, like reishi is one of my favorite ones. Holly basil, it's so marvelous as well, and rose as well. Um,
Wait, what's holly basil for?
Holly basil is another calming agent, like
Oh,
another
okay.
calming plant as well. I work a lot, like I love to work a lot with like nervous system plants, things, you know, plants that like support that. Um, but I'm like working with like very basics at the moment. Um, hopefully I can start diving into like more you know, not complicated ones, but more like, yeah, they need more relationship with them.
Yes, yes. And rose, talk a little bit more about rose because you mentioned that
uh
one as well.
I love rose. It's such a beautiful plant to utilize during your moon. Like, you
Mm.
know, for women during your moon cycle, it's like a very, I feel like it's a hug to yourself. And it's like such a sweet taste. I love to put it in my water or put it in the morning under my tongue or something. So even when I have like a sweet tooth craving, I just put it in my mouth too. And it's like, ah, tastes so
Oh,
good.
that's so nice.
Yeah.
Actually, that reminds me of with the rose, it reminds me of like flower essences and flower elixirs.
Mhm.
Which I think it was like two years ago. I took them. Like I wanted to get away from crystals a little bit, because I was hoarding crystals, you know, at the beginning of my place, and I was like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. And then I did flower essences, and like the amount of love that I felt in my heart whenever I would work with the flower essences was like ridiculous. And honestly, this conversation with you just reminded me that maybe I should go back to working
You
with flowers.
should. They're calling you back.
Yes, yes.
Yes, I love that. I love when like people connect back to the plants, right? Even if it's like, oh, I should water my plant in the house or something like that. Or I should like repot them or something. And it's like, yes,
Yeah.
take care of the babies, you know?
Yes. And be intuitive too, because like I remember there's this when I was in massage school, one of the instructors, he's also pretty intuitive and he had a plant and he would always put like a big ice cube on the plant because his plant loved ice cubes. The plant loved the cold water disseminating and like being
Mhm.
refreshed. So then I put like ice cubes on my plant and like on the second day that I tried it, my plant, I just felt my plant being like, bitch, I don't want cold water. And I was
They
like, all
get
right.
angry. Yeah.
I know. I'm like, oh shit, all right.
They
Let me.
speak to you. Like they do. Like I have a bunch of little baby, the little guys, and they're all coming to like going to the side, and it's like, oh, you guys need more sunlight. Let me just take you outside, because they're like trying to get the sunlight from the window, and they're all sideways, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, I'll take you outside, and then you take them all whole day outside, you see them like they like straight back. They're just so cool.
Oh, I love that. Actually, now that you say that, I'm probably gonna have to take mine outside because it's doing that thing.
Yeah, it's doing the thing.
Yeah.
It-
Thank you for that. I
Mhm.
also wanted to ask you, aside from the folk herbalism, you're also a women's circle facilitator.
Yes, I am.
So let's talk about it.
Oh, yeah, sure. Um, yeah, I've been a women's circle facilitator for probably almost 2 years now. Um, yeah, like it was called for me to do that because I was like, in some parts of my life, I felt like very alone in certain situations in my life that I had to face on my own as a woman. And a lot of like my traumatic experiences had to do with the fact that I was alone making decisions naively, you know, as a woman and based out of men's perspective, right? Being with my past relationship and being so young and naive, and I didn't have like a wise woman to speak to, or community of women to really have these conversations and then make me rethink, or make me think a little bit deeply about the situation that was occurring, and was it like the right decision that I needed to take, right? A lot of my experiences had to do with that, with the fact that I was alone making decisions irrationally out of fear, and because I didn't have a support partner at that time that would be like thinking about me. It was more like thinking about his choices and what would have been best for him, which is like, I mean, like any other human that wants to get out of situations, right? Like they just want to like get out of stuff or whatever. Um, so doing through my path of healing, like one of the huge teachers that we shared together is Jamie Lee. I took a course with Jamie Lee a couple of years ago, and she was the one who really like heal a huge aspect of those traumas, and made me realize, wow, the power that it exists in womanhood and community, like women in community, and how much it's needed nowadays. It's so needed, and we need that support, especially in this new era where everybody's on their own, right? And like a lot of mothers do their things by themselves. A lot of young women make decisions by themselves and stuff. So it's like there has to be a sense of community to like go back to yourself, think about situations that are happening, and make the right choices sovereignly, right? Um, in a safe space. So I decided that that was a huge thing that I needed to do, because they're not common. They're really not.
Yeah, and it's such a weird, not weird, it's such a different dynamic, especially when you're with other women that are on the same vibe. And by vibe, I mean that we're not talking sisterhood wound, we're not talking jealousy, we're talking like legitimate support. We're talking, hey, we're coming together because we have nowhere else to go. And I'm wanting that sense of sisterhood. I'm wanting that sense of the feminine collective. And when we went to that retreat together, it was mostly women. We had one man, which We love Jack. But
yes.
yeah, Jack's amazing. But with us women, there was so many different women there as well, and it was just so beautiful. It was just so authentic. It felt like we were all sisters from the very first day. Um,
Mhm.
and that's what you get from beautiful women's circles.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I seen transformations, right? Like I deeply believe like when you empower like women, like you empower the household, right? You empower the man too, because if if women are not in their power and they're like they and their intuition is not like activated, like there's so many things that you know gets disrupted. Like we are a huge source in the family unit, and it has to do with that because the fact that as women we need community, we need the matriarch, we need like this sense of circle equalness going on. That's what we used to do for so many years, and now we don't have that. We don't have that system of community. Like we don't have like neighborhood where the women gather and do the things that we want to do and the men do whatever they want to do together, right? That sense of community is so needed between men and women. And and I feel like having that space, at least, I mean, I tend to do 2 hours, they prolong to 4 because it's like so much coming out that there's no way it can be disrupted, and they come out of here like, wow, like lighter, you know, more lifted, yeah, like completely different. And they're always eager to like, when is the next one situation? Because they see the results in their daily life.
So do you know when's your next women's circle?
It's gonna be in June, and the next full moon is June 1, June 6, I believe. I'll check it out and I'll give you back to you.
All right, we'll all be on the lookout for the next full moon,
Yes.
so that way we can be in one of your beautiful circles.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Alrighty. So you're also a tattoo artist. So how do you
Oh my God,
merge
yeah.
yeah, like how do you merge all of this? Your herbalism, your medicine with women and women's circles, and then being a tattoo artist.
So tattoo artist is what first came,
Yeah.
it's been my survival, it's been my passion. I can say that I'm a visionary artist, and I always say that tattooing is just a medium that I create my art in. It's not the only thing that I have to do. But yes, just the fact, it used to give me so much trouble um, to connect all those things when I was just tattooing and I was like getting immersed into like my healing journey and like being open and speaking to other people about my healing journey and the tattoo world. It's like, nah, it's like it's a very masculine energy, right? It has a very masculine drive. And yeah, I had a hard time. I still even do, like having to combine all three. Like I'm like, this doesn't go with tattooing at all. But I'm like, I am not a tattoo artist only. I am Paloma. I am a woman. I am human. Like, I don't have to carry this only hat in the world. And I feel like that is something that I always want to bring into the tattoo community as well. Like, I seen slowly creating, like so many tattoo artists are becoming like coaches and meditation guiders and stuff like that, because it's like so needed to like the connection to like anything that's spiritual or anything that's like to connect to your healing. It's like it's so needed. It's an industry that is very headstrong, and not saying that everyone has their things. I mean, we all do, of course, but like I know that there's like a deep wanting to like, you know, get out of like the party spaces and like get more connected with the art and like, yeah, get connected to yourself and like how much like beautiful creations can happen from that, right? As tattoo artists, we don't have, a lot of us don't have a balance in life. We don't. Like, I used to not have one. You know, Peter did not have one. It was all tattooing, work, 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 work. No balance, no doing anything outside of that. And of course, that's what led us to, you know, have a pretty successful career. But how long would that last, right? How long our bodies are going to really hold that, or our souls, right? Like, not being able to like go to other places or share with other people, or just because we're so invested in that craft and because we have that box of like, this is the only thing we do, right? So I tend to like bring out a lot of that message that you have to have balance in your life. You have to like take care of your body. You have to take care of your mind and your spirit so you can keep doing this for the long run. And it's a very I've been there. Like, it's really hard to break that shell, to like really like understand what balance is when you love something so deeply and you love to create art and to like connect with people, right? But that's the other thing, like, we are constantly connecting with people all the time for hours. We're in their energy field for hours. And like, I hear so many times, like, you know, coworkers or peers that they're like, they did a tattoo that took an hour and they finish and they're like, feel like they run 10 miles because, and they're like, whoa, I am exhausted. I'm like, yes, you're in their energy field. You don't know what they're going through, what their situation is, you know? And it's like, it's so important to really recognize that we are in their spaces and they're allowing us to be in their spaces. They're giving us part of their body, you know, something so sacred for us to like be responsible for. And I feel like we have a sense of responsibility to create that balance in our lives so we can go in fully ready, like mind, body, and spirit fully in ready to do this service and to not be exhausted that quickly, or like yeah, like yeah, exhausted from so much work and mostly from being in their spaces. So
Yeah, because there's so much focus that comes from you as the artist that's tattooing this on the other person
yeah.
to make sure that you don't fuck up, because you are working with a sacred part of somebody else
Mm-hmm.
that is potentially permanent on their skin to showcase their story and showcase who they are as a person.
Yeah, or heal.
Yeah.
Or healing. I mean, I have so many clients that have been, you know, have come in my at my chair, and it's like for healing, like very intense, very deep stuff, you know. And you have to prepare yourself, like spiritually, mentally, and physically, when you see these things and when you're sitting with them and sharing these, you know, they're sharing with you because it's automatically, they will share most of the time. And and if we're not like taking that into consideration and like being in check with ourselves, how can we give service to others if we don't take care of ourselves? So I feel like we have that responsibility for our clients and for ourselves, you know.
Yeah, and that just brought this visual of, you know, when you have a cup and then you're filling it with water and then it starts overflowing and then it flows into the other cups beneath it and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like you have to
Yeah.
keep pouring into you so that way you can just pour into everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, like from simple things, right? Like, I don't know. it's just a responsibility. And I say it so many times to people that I know when they feel exhausted, when they want to quit. And I'm like, what are you doing for yourself? You know, what are you feeding to yourself? Right? It doesn't have to be food only, but what are you feeding to yourself? So you can be this tired or this energized, right? And we are practically like, you know, healers as well, you know, in a way. Even maybe some artists won't see it that way, but we are, you know, just someone trusting us with their body, you know. So it's like we should have some type of responsibility towards that and owning it, and really have, yeah, really honor it, you know, all around. So
Yeah, I mean, for some people, the tattoo that they get is in honor of somebody that's very important to them that's passed away,
yeah.
or a symbol of like a triumph that they overcame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And some people just do it to like for themselves,
Yeah,
to show themselves who they are, or you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
There was something else too that you mentioned about how it's your responsibility to take care of yourself in order to serve other people. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that when you're frustrated because things are not working out, and you're like, but I'm doing all of this, I'm doing so much, why is it not working? Because you're doing so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's been one of my toughest ones to do. Like rest.
What is
Yeah.
that?
What is that? Right. And it's hard, especially when you're in like a field of entrepreneur and stuff like that. Or survivalist, right? Like I came from Puerto Rico to here to survive. Like, and I have no choice. Like, ain't nobody was paying anything for me, and I had no choice but to like push through and like survive. And like, it's like that tendency of always like, oh, if I don't do this, I won't have this, and everything's gonna go. It's like very extreme, right? If I don't do one thing, everything's gonna go right. And I have to learn through, you know, my progress, my healing journey, that it's like you're safe, you're okay. Like you can sit and listen to some music and relax with your dog. You can just be outside, stare at the sky for hours. It's okay. Like ain't nobody coming to reprimand you, or ain't nobody taking anything from you by doing that. And like rest is important so you can tackle, you know, with energy whatever else you need to do, you know. So yeah,
Very
rest is a
important.
huge thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is,
And I feel my body shows me that all the time. When I have some type of ache or pain, I mean, I've been working with an acupuncturist who work with my hand and like my elbow, because sometimes it hurts. And it's like, oh, if I take an extra day off and not put these many tattoos or big things, maybe my hand work wouldn't hurt that often, right? So it's like your body's always in like this constant conversation with you of what's going on. And it's sometimes you just have to face it, the reality, and make the decision, the wise decision to like take off the load, or add if it's the other way around, right? Um, so yeah.
yes, yes. So is there anything that you would like to share for someone who's listening where they feel like they can't take a break and they need to keep going and they're not taking care of themselves? Like, what would be a good message that you would have for that person?
Um, I feel that my message would be to prioritize. Like you have time, you're just not prioritizing it for yourself. My cats.
That's true.
There you go.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not prioritizing the things because it seemed like it's not important at the moment. But maybe it's another, you know, suggestion would be to check in with yourself. like what's aching you, what's your body telling you, right? Are you getting exhausted from certain things? Does your body doesn't react well with certain foods? Like, does it get exhausted? Do you wake up exhausted in the morning? Like, check in with your body, right? Do a body scan. Oh, I've been going recently to this because of that. Well, it's something to check in, right? Within yourself. And I feel that has helped me a lot. But of course, this comes from a journey of like already like doing the work of like knowing more about myself. I'm not advising anyone to like stop everything that they're having, stop your medications or anything like that, right? Not saying that at all. Like it had happened before, situations like that I speak from my perspective and my experience, right? And people are like, well, you can't tell people to stop drinking their medication. No, I'm not saying that, right? But if there's something that is like still uncomfortable, even with these things that you're taking, it's always like a beautiful thing to just sit and like just check in with, why is this going on, right? And ask for help. Asking for help is a huge thing too. Like I noticed within myself that I couldn't do it by myself, so I went to therapy. That was the first thing, and from therapy led me to other stuff. And then when it wasn't working anymore, I started looking for other options and asking people, hey, you had this experience? Like, what did you do? And that's what led me into the plant world. Like, I didn't look it up online and like went into this like, how they say like hippie movement and like said, oh, I need to go to, I don't know, to this other country to do this. No, I asked, and the right person that I would never expect that did, experience plant medicine or anything like that, is the one who opened the door for me and told me how much healing has done for them. And I took the risk and I made the decision for myself. I asked within my body if it was the right thing for me. And I was like, I have no choice but to try it because I really don't want to keep going in the journey that I was. So that's my, not even advice, it's just my experience, right? And I always encourage people to just listen to the experience of others and check in with yourself if you think that's the right thing for you, right? And just, yeah, start the discovery. It's so fun. It's like fun. It's like scary and fun at the same time to look for other options that are outside of like the mainstream, the mainstream life, I guess.
But it works. It works.
It works. It so works. I've seen so many transformations from people who didn't believe anything, and they're like, what was that? Yeah.
That's what we need. That's what we need. Well, is there any last comments or messages that you would like to share before we go ahead and close off today?
I don't think so. I think keeping everything as an open mind and trust your intuition. That's it.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today and for sharing your experiences and your wisdom with us. And thank you everybody for listening. I hope whoever's listening, whatever part of the day it is, you have a good rest of the day or that you have a great, amazing rest of the week. And with that, we'll close out this episode. So until next time.
Bye.